Everybody, hello, and welcome back to the Big Three, where we have to talk about some big news. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got some friends in the house. Citizen Morgan is here on the check-in. We are happy to have you, as well as Contessa Green. That's what I'm talking about. People who are with us, rock with us every single week. We love it. We love it. We are growing. We are building, and we're trying to do something in the house. Now, we got a lot to talk about. I think that we'll agree on some things. I think we'll disagree on some things. But I think it's going to be a good show. Brian, what do you think?
I think it's going to be a great show, particularly when we have topics where we discuss and we disagree on things because we can do it on a healthy way. We can do it in a healthy way. And again, from the very beginning when we started the show, our first show, we had a really lively discussion, but we disagreed and we can still do it with love and we don't have to yell at each other and unfriend. And I think we really role model these relationships because people are having these relationships behind closed doors. But, I think it's good for us to model it healthily in front of the camera.
I think so. And this is actually like the breakdown. Like I'm on the left, you're on the right, and Kitty's in the middle.
I don't know why you're trying to talk about me being in the middle, being,
You're
trying
always
to
in the middle.
be on the line and shit. All I know is if y'all disagree with me, I'm blocking both of y'all bitches.
I don't think we've ever really disagreed. I don't think. I'm trying to think, like, because you're always in the middle. But Kitty's here with us tonight with some brand new equipment in the house.
Child, y'all didn't tell me my audio was a mess. Y'all need to let
I showed
me
you
know.
the first episode.
Look, okay, I had my headphones in, but you didn't say anything about them other episodes. Okay, I'm back listening to my clips. I'm like, God damn, I sound horrible.
Look, I was like, I didn't know if I was gonna drop the coin to buy you the shit. I'm not the kind of. I'm to be honest. I'm the kind of person. I'm not gonna tell you to fix your audio if I'm not gonna buy you the audio. I mean, but you know that. Y'all both know how I am. So like, I'm not gonna come with something if I'm not gonna come with the answer. Just fuck, let me buy this shit for you. So what are you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say what I was gonna say is what I love about this is that, and I've been saying this too because there's been some people who I've talked to who are up and coming content creators, and the biggest thing that I tell people is just fucking do it. Like the shit don't gotta be perfect from the jump. And I think that this is a perfect example. Like Ken, and I've seen it with my own show. Like Kenny is now getting his mic. Now we got like great audio. Like we're gonna move forward. We build up the audience. We build up our tech. We build up our look. It takes the time. So we doing it.
It takes time, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that as we get there. I do want to give an update on the Isaiah Martin for Congress for the Texas 18th District race, and talk about. And I'm going to actually go and grab my mug in a moment, but I want to talk about how much money was raised last week. So a number of you gave super chats and you donated and you gave, and so from that I know that both of you guys like doubled what was given. I think you guys both gave what? How much you give?
265. What we 165.
160. Each of you gave 165. I gave 165 and then a little bit extra, just in case more money would have come in throughout the course of the week. So really happy that we were able to give, Isaiah almost $500 from his appearance on the show last week. We welcome other candidates. I've already reached out to Kenny's good friend, Deja Fox.
Oh, yes.
Deja Fox has announced that she is running for Congress for the Arizona, I think, 7th Congressional District. So hopefully we will have her soon. Earlier today, I interviewed Representative Rick Larson, ranking member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. That video you can see on my page, or you can also see it's still up on my Twitter account. So happy to have other members of Congress join us. I'm sure we will be having other members and candidates as the weeks go on. As we're talking about tonight, they're going right into Congress, and we got people watching. So we got a good number. Actually, I'm really shocked and really happy that we actually have more people watching on YouTube tonight.
They're coming.
That we have on Twitter. Now, happy to have you on Twitter, but want you to watch our YouTube. But really excited to see more people on YouTube tonight than we see on Twitter. So that's what I'm talking about. We're getting there. So tonight's topic, people, is all about the constant calls among some. We got the gay dating coach, Lamont, famous Lamont is here. He had a celebrity last week. Lamont, I catch your show always. I never miss an episode, and I'll catch you on the YouTube. And so if you guys want some really great content, and I have some great laughs, but you also get some great insight from the Gay Dating Coach's YouTube page, and he does Shoot Your Shot Wednesday. And so last week he interviewed a famous industry member performer Memphis Strokes was there looking for love, and he had a very interesting life. So I'm actually like, I want to interview Memphis Strokes because I have questions. Lamont, I had some follow up that y'all didn't ask him. I need to know. I had some questions about him, his wife, his kids, a whole bunch of questions that I want to learn more about.
That threw me for a damn loop.
Wait.
Sorry.
Stop. I need to say this. So he has a wife and he has kids?
You gotta watch the episode. It was very good. It was a phenomenal episode. Memphis Strokes, a great performer in the industry, who's been in the industry about 4 or 5 years, who's done very well in that time frame, was married and made some hard choices in his early life. But then, Lamont and his guest host did some probing that I thought was very appropriate, and they didn't miss a beat and asked some really hard questions that really, I think, forced this entertainer to think and to grapple with some things in some ways that maybe he hadn't thought about. And it was just a really, really good, insightful episode of Shoot Your Shot. And so I think you guys should definitely watch it. And that goes for everybody out there. I think it was very insightful to me. I love good, deep commentary. Kind of what we're going to probably get when we talk about right here, did they stand and deliver? When we talk about Senator Cory Booker first and then Jasmine Crockett, there's a lot that I know people are going to say, and before we go into it, I do want to give every now and then, I show some clips. I want to give a little historical context here. And this was a video made earlier this week, and I want everyone to just give me a minute. We're going to show kind of the historical context of what this meant and what happened. When you see Brian kind of talking in the background, he's talking to our followers on TikTok. So we're still trying to grow. We're trying to build this up because we need the followers, we need the viewers, and he's transferring them over from the TikTok over to us here on the YouTube. So Brian, you keep doing the work because we need the people as we grow the account. So let's show this video by yours truly, the Zactivist.
Senator Cory Booker is going for the record in his fight for the American people. In an effort to show every American what Democrats are doing for them every single day in Congress, Senator Booker is earning his place in American history. A place that is currently held by South Carolina Senator Strom Thurmond, notorious segregationist and racist. A man who held his filibuster for 24 hours and 18 minutes in opposition to the Civil Rights Act of 1957. While both senators and speeches demonstrate remarkable endurance, resolve, and determination, they each represent starkly different positions and outcomes. These two men bookend nearly 7 decades of American political development, reflecting how deeply and greatly our nation has changed. Thurmond's actions represented the last final dying shout of hate against a future that was inevitable. And it is Booker's speech that comes at a time when many of us are fighting, reeling with all we have against the end of American democracy, which is slowly being eroded by the Trump administration's authoritarianist approach. And it is his speech in this moment that is making the crucial difference. His filibuster failed in its primary objective. The Civil Rights Act of 1957 passed shortly after his speech ended. No, we don't know the full impact that Booker's speech will have on future generations, but we know that it will be seen as a moment of resistance at a time that we, the American people, desperately needed. Unlike Thurmond's speech, Booker's will be remembered for what it affirmed: the importance of good trouble, of standing up and standing firm in your beliefs, and service to our democracy.
First of all, I love the picture. I love the picture of Strom Thurmond, fucking looking like the Crypt Keeper.
Every bit of Crypt.
Because that motherfucking shit was going viral. Look, let me tell you this.
And I want to tell Dana, you can go to my Twitter, Zachary K, and you can scroll. It's there right now, streaming live, and you can share it directly. And then the actual YouTube link that we want people to look at is in a post right under it. I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah. No, let me just say this. The whole thing about the filibuster, a lot of people don't know the actual history of the filibuster. A lot of people don't even know what the filibuster is up until the time that Cory Booker just broke this record. So first of all, I think it was a good time for people to be educated on what the filibuster is, what it has been used for. History has, taught us that filibusters have been used since the beginning. And they have been used to really stop civic and civil rights legislation in the Senate, right? It's unlimited debate, essentially. And then they have cloture, which is if you vote, if you have 60, it used to be 67, but if you have 60 votes, you can stop the unlimited debate, tell that person to shut the fuck up, and then we can go on with the passing the legislation. But the reason why it's super important to do the filibuster is because you can stop legislation. You can literally, quote unquote, talk it to death, right? You're consistently trying to obstruct it. But the other part that a lot of people didn't know, and I posted this in my video when I talked about this, is that it's not just to stop legislation. There's also precedent to use the filibuster to also increase awareness and build education around specific topics, particularly that you think that are about national interest. And so when a senator is able to use their platform in this way, first of all, he took all the media attention. Cory Booker used all the media attention that he was going to get about this topic, right? About this filibuster, because he was going to break the record. He was going for the 25 hours over the 24 hours of what Strom Thurmond did.
And he hit it.
And he hit it. He did over 25 hours.
Yeah,
he took
I made
all
that
the media
video
attention.
like around 3 o'clock. I made it like at hour 19.
Yeah, and he did it, and he brought back the conversation to the forefront. See, the thing is, the news media, the 24-hour news cycles go so goddamn fast that a lot of people start losing focus on exactly what's going on, and they want to distract you. Like Trump wanted to get the attention off of Signalgate, for instance, which, by the way, now it feels like a lot of people have moved on. Now we're talking about tariffs, and they want all of this stuff to go away. They don't want people to talk about the fact that our Department of Defense secretary is a fucking disaster and has put troops at risk. They don't want you to talk about the fact that they're cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education funding, and food stamps to give $4.5 trillion tax cuts to the ultra wealthy. So the reality is, when Cory Booker's standing up there, these motherfuckers talk about, oh, it's performative. Bitch, fuck you. That means you don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. Yep. And again, we're negotiating what's this and what's that. You're taking away and distracting from the actual situation, which is this man, who, by the way, is a black man, used his power on the Senate floor to break the record of a first title holder, being the record holder, Strom Thurmond, who used his power of the filibuster to stop civil rights legislation in 1957. How poetic was it that Cory Booker could actually surpass that record, erase that motherfucker from history, and then use the power of the platform to be able to uplift? Because here's the thing. If he didn't do it, what the fuck are Democrats doing? If he does do it, it's performative. Some of you bitches just want to complain just to motherfucking complain. And that's okay. And that's okay, but just motherfucking admit that. Yeah. And that's the bottom line.
I'm going to go to Kenny. I know Kenny. Wait, hold up. I know Kenny is ready to roll. I just want to very briefly answer Solomon. Strom Thurmond was a Democrat because all the Democrats in the 1950s, 40s, 30s, it was pre this party, quote unquote, switch. Strom Thurmond was a massive leader of what was known as the Dixiecrats. And that's the way that it worked. The Democratic Party hasn't always been on the side of civil rights. Understand that Abraham Lincoln, the president who was given credit for emancipation and freeing enslaved people, although the motivation wasn't to necessarily free enslaved people, it was a different motivation, but it was still nonetheless done under him, was a Republican. From the time of Lincoln throughout Reconstruction, all the way up until the very beginning of the civil rights movement, Republicans were the party that black people in this country aligned themselves to. It wasn't until John F. Kennedy won them back by making some really, well, it was kind of started with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, but it really was the actions of Kennedy and how Kennedy worked hard to court the black vote and convinced Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to support him in his candidacy against Nixon, that black people started to identify as Democrats in this country. So please read up on the party shifts so you can have a deeper understanding of that and kind of know those facts. So a lot of young people, and I don't know if you are one, don't know that. Kenny.
So I like what you said, Brian. When it comes to a lot of these people, what they're doing by attacking Cory Booker and saying what he's done is performative is just the definition of performative, because you can't speak from both sides of your neck saying, well, what are Democrats doing? And then you're not paying attention, you're not following, you don't have them on notification alerts. There was something in the comments that I saw where someone said that Cory Booker hasn't been out in the forefront when that's not true. Cory Booker was one of the only senators using his platform actually calling out Chuck Schumer, saying, I'm not going to vote for this continuous resolution. And he took back his power and used this platform and spoke for 24 hours about the continuing resolution that would strip away Medicaid, strip away SNAP benefits for people who desperately need them. Cory Booker took back the power and actually used that platform and not focused on corporate media. He went live on his own Instagram, and I watched myself and saw that he was advocating for the people. When we're sitting here saying we want Democrats to do something, we already understand that the numbers aren't there. The math ain't math. And y'all asking them to break bread with no fucking flour. In this moment, as we are the minority party and we're playing opposition, it is our job, it is our goal to be performative. And hopefully with that performance, it might encourage voters to actually show up to the polls, because the problem is you guys do not vote. In order for Democrats to be successful, we have to show that we're willing to fight back. And that's exactly what Cory Booker did in this moment. When we are the majority party, that is the time when we need to introduce legislation. But when we do not have the votes, when we do not have the numbers in order to pass certain legislation, it is our job to disrupt. That is the only job that I want to see from Democrats in this very moment. And Cory Booker is a prime example of what you're supposed to do in this moment, to take back the narrative.
And I'm glad that you brought that up about the audience, because there was
I want to
Republican.
honor. Hold on one moment. Hold that thought, because I'm going to give it to you, because I want to go and get my cup, and I'm going to let you guys continue the discourse. But I definitely want to make sure I honor Alan's commentary and his perspective, because I think it's a really let's to be fair, Alan is in the chat, and I think Alan is bringing up some very valid points, in that he could have been as loud as Bernie, Crockett, a number of people. And Alan is also bringing up some really good points. And this is where I think, to a certain extent, Alan, I'm going to say hands down, I agree with you about this. There is no reason.
Marco Rubio, I'll agree about that. As far as being vocal,
I have made a point, Kenny. I have made a point. Zachary hasn't made a point.
Go ahead.
I'm going to make it. Now, I agree with you, Alan, about this. Alan, there is no reason any fucking sitting Democrat in any chamber should have voted for any member of Donald Trump's cabinet. I don't give a damn if Cory Booker and Marco Rubio would play in the bathrooms together in between breaks at Congress. There's no reason any of those deplorable people, any member of the Legion of Doom, from Manta to Shatara to Giganta, would have been able to be approved by a Democrat, but they were. Marco Rubio, 99 votes. It is disrespectful, it's disgraceful, and it's a slap in the face to the American people and those of us who fight hard for democracy. On that point, with you, I agree. But I have to go back and say, without a shadow of a doubt, there's a time to... when you are a member of Congress, you have a job to do. And that job is to legislate and represent your constituents. Cory Booker, just like Kenny just said, is a member of the minority party, or what I like to call or refer to as the opposition party. There is nothing that any Democratic member of Congress can achieve without bipartisan support from Republicans. And right now, they are not giving it. They may give it soon, because maybe they're going to have learned some hard lessons from last night's election results, that they're in danger, that they've allowed Elon Musk to lock them in a Cybertruck that is going off a cliff. Okay, maybe they are learning that. But until they realize that is the case, they're not cooperating. And all our leaders can do is exactly what Cory Booker did on the floor. And that is, as Kenny stated, that is obstruct. That is to stand in the way of their progress. And that is to use their pulpit to educate the American people. Cory Booker stood on that stage and he literally read out letters from constituents, Democrats and Republicans. He gave voice to the American people that are being hurt and impacted the most by the policies of the Trump administration. That was powerful. There have been other people like Strom Thurmond who stood on that stage and did the same filibuster. But the difference is this: Cory Booker is far more historic. Once I started to look at what was said and the entirety of what was stated in those 25 hours on the floor. This man didn't read the Bible like Strom Thurmond did. This man didn't read books like Cat in the Hat like Ted Cruz did. This man gave substantive commentary for 25 hours from the top of his head. It was remarkable, and it was a remarkable feat, and that was symbolic of American democracy, symbolic of the work of a real senator, symbolic of what the American people are begging for in this moment. You could definitely say that it had no real impact if you're looking at it in terms terms of passing a law or even stopping a law. But what it did was give all of the millions of Americans who are begging for, saying they're doing nothing, saying that they're not making progress, like how they fighting back. This is how you fight back. You use the available means to fight back. This is all that they can do. I argue that AOC and Bernie Sanders having oligarchy tours in fucking Iowa, where the fuck they are. I say to myself, I think that is not moving the needle. Because I think that they're talking to their base. They're talking to their supporters. People are going to see that they're already inspired by, who they already inspire. That's what I think. What Cory Booker did was demand that the American news cycle, who is refusing to recognize the Democratic Party, stop and pause and give him his due and give the Democratic Party a moment to express their grievances with Donald Trump. I think it was historic, and I think it made a difference. Kenny.
Okay, so as far as the Bernie situation with the oligarch tour, okay, the Colorado one, okay, I'll give you that. That's a little bit more performative as far as feeding to the base. But him going to these rural areas, I think that does actually make an impact. I do agree with Bernie Sanders actually going to these places and reaching out to them because, interesting enough, and I'm just going to say it just to be honest, Bernie Sanders does appeal to racist Republicans. He does appeal to a lot of these people who may not necessarily agree with the color of my skin. He was able to pull Joe Rogan, who said the N-word 25 times on his podcast.
Because he's anti-black. Bernie Sanders has a history of being anti-black. Called the fucking shit out.
I'm not saying all of that stuff. I'm just saying he has... Bernie Sanders can appeal to people who are anti-black. I'm not saying that Bernie Sanders himself is. I'm just saying who he appeals to. I've been called several different names by the Bernie bros. I've been called the F word, the N word. I've been called unhinged. I've been doxxed. All of the things from his people. But when we're talking about what he's doing, reaching out to these people, making inroads, hopefully they'll learn from their mistakes. As we've seen what happened in Florida just recently. All these people going to these red states, appealing to these Republicans, trying to let them see that when you vote for Donald Trump and you vote for these Republicans, you are voting against your own best interests. And they're seeing the fruits of their labor. No, we did not win, but that's a hell of a goddamn leg up when we're actually closing a certain gap when we lost by double digits and now we only lost by a single digit. We're making inroads. So I'm seeing progress. I'm seeing the fruits of those labors. So we have to continue sowing those seeds into these communities, letting them understand that Democratic policies actually does benefit them. We saw just recently that farmers are coming out saying that, oh my God, I had no idea that when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris passed the Inflation Reduction Act, that was actually feeding into my farm. Now the fact that I've already done the work for the contract and they're pulling back contracts and not going to pay me for my work, I had no idea that this Democratic policy was helping me. And that's why we have to reach out to people and we have to talk to them and their pain points and let them understand that Democratic policies isn't something that's only for the minority communities. It also benefits you as well.
Right.
We're all interconnected. There's intersectionality when it comes to these policies. Mm-hmm. And don't cut your nose to spite your face because of your own prejudice. So I think, I do believe with AOC, with Bernie, and with Tim Walz, and all these people that are going out to these red districts, I do believe there is going to be fruit from the seeds that they're sowing into these people.
Particularly when, and let me add to that because I love what you're saying, Kenny. Particularly when the moment that we're in right now. Shout out to the MAGAteers. Shout out to Isaiah Martin. Particularly in the moment that we're in right now, where I've made this argument before. Before the boogeyman was behind the curtain, right? This idea of crony capitalism, this idea that these billionaires were already funding millions of dollars into congressional campaigns so that they can vote a certain way, that has always been happening. The problem was the boogeyman was behind the curtain, and now we're in a place in time where the boogeyman is no longer behind the curtain. See, the problem with the boogeyman being behind the curtain is a lot of us had to try to convince people that there even was a boogeyman. That this problem even existed. Right now, the boogeyman is out the closet, right in front of your fucking face in your living room, sipping tea. The boogeyman, Elon Musk, is one of them. He's not the only one, but he's one of them. The richest man on the planet spent $26 million. Here's another one. I'm going to get to him. $26 million in the Wisconsin state race. for the Supreme Court and lost. Why? And here's the part that a lot of people have not been saying online when they've been making the commentary about Judge Susan Crawford. The content creators, let me say that again, the content creator community was the community that came out, where the community that came out, right, it was the community that came out to support Judge Susan Crawford in droves. I didn't see none of that should be played on CNN. I didn't see Judge Susan Crawford on MSNBC. No, it was the content creators. It was the grassroots organizers in Wisconsin. It was the Dems who in Wisconsin went and organized to get Judge Susan Crawford on the fucking ballot. This was and let me just say this about the specific in Wisconsin. That was a referendum on Elon Musk. Let me say that again. That was a referendum on Elon Musk. How do we know that? I think Republicans are now starting to see this motherfucker's a liability because these motherfuckers rejected Brad Schimmel. Now, a lot of people can say, well, they thought Brad Schimmel was gonna lose. Here's why I know that that's a lie. These people who are easily influenced by everything were offered $100 per petition sign up. And then they were offered $1 million to be at these rallies. Now, $1 million was given to a Russian national. $1 million was given to another person who was already a Republican. But here's the thing. The reality is, even if people believed that they could win $1 million if they voted for Brad Schimmel, that tipped some scales. But not enough. Not enough. Not enough to overpower the community of community organizers that came together to ensure that Judge Susan Crawford crossed that finish line. And by the way, it wasn't her just crossing the finish line. If you look at the specific districts that voted, they all have those blue arrows. Everybody after the election wanted to show that New York Times screenshot of those arrows, which by the way, I always thought was bullshit. Not the information was bullshit, but the fact that people were like, oh, well, this country's moving right. No, it's not. The country's not moving right. That picture of all those little arrows moving right and the red was indicative of that's how people voted more in this election because of what was being sold. We can have a conversation about that another day. But let's be clear. Even in Florida, where we lost, there were major gains. We flipped the county. Escambia County.
Yeah, Escambia County. I want to warn though everybody out there. Look, I've said it from the very beginning. I thought Elon Musk would be gone. I said Elon Musk will be gone in 90 days. That's been my theory. Is that Elon Musk is only going to be here for 90 days, and he's only there to take all the lightning, all the thunder, all the heat for all the things that they already know will be wildly unpopular with the American people. He's meant to be a fall guy. And so he will be able to say, I have to leave to go back to save Tesla. And they'll say all these things that you don't like, they weren't because of us. It was because of Elon Musk. They've made Elon Musk the focus when Elon Musk should never be the focus. I don't believe that we should ever let Elon Musk be the focus because Elon Musk has no power. He was elected to nothing. He is powerless. The power lies in the hands of Donald John Trump and the Republican Party and the Republicans elected to office. By letting Elon Musk be the main boogeyman, by letting Elon Musk be the main figure, you completely let these people off the hook who are doing the damage. Donald Trump is cutting your Social Security. Donald Trump is the one who took your job. Donald Trump is the one that is crashing your economy. Donald Trump is the one who's going to end your cancer and HIV research. Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. And more importantly, Donald Trump, because this old motherfucker, no matter what he says, can't run again, it's the Republican Party. It is the Republican Party. They are responsible now and in 2026 and in 2028, not Elon Musk. And the mainstream media is happy to put Elon Musk in front of you. It wouldn't surprise me if that's a compromise that they even know about and they're happy to make to keep Donald Trump off their backs. But the reality is this is the fault, and the onus belongs to Donald Trump and the Republican Party.
Let me say, there's a debate term for that, and it's called permutation, do both. What essentially that means is you can do the one where, because what I said earlier was that I think Elon Musk is one of the boogeymen that is right in front of you, but Trump is also the boogeyman. So what I mean by permutation, do both, I just mean we can say that Elon Musk is a boogeyman, but so the fuck is Donald Trump, because look what the fuck is going on with the tariffs right now. You have 51 Republicans. I mean, and by the way, there you have four.
We got tariffs on the list, but
we'll into that. But let me just make this point: 4 Republicans defected, and 51 senators voted to block the Canada tariffs. Now, there are other tariffs, so we're not letting Republicans off the hook. By the way, we're not to stop giving fish props for swimming. They should be doing the fucking job of the people and making sure that these prices don't go up. Here's the part of the tariffs that people don't talk about, because I know we're gonna talk about it, but I want to make this point. Once these prices go up, they ain't never coming down. Look what happened, and how do we know that? How do we know that? We have precedent for that. Look what happened when COVID happened. The supply chains were fucked up. Inflation went out the fucking wazoo. What the fuck happened? After that, the Biden-Harris administration signed the Inflation Reduction Act. The inflation went down, trended under 3%, normalized. What happened? Price gouging was still the number one thing that was happening by these corporations. Why were they doing that? Because the media had fed everybody the narrative that inflation was high, and they ran with the fact that people didn't know that inflation was trending downward. The prices remained the same. Then you have fucking corporations like Kroger come out and say, we're sorry, we price gouged. These prices go up because of these tariffs. The media talks about the tariffs raising the prices. These prices will remain high. Watch.
They're not going down. No, they're
not going down.
Never go
They're
down.
never
When
going
they
down.
realize they can take this money, even if the tariffs go down, the damn companies are going to keep the prices high.
But wait, the last point that I wanted to make, because you said about Elon Musk leaving in 90 days. That's absolutely correct. And how do we know that? There's reports saying Trump is saying, well, Elon Musk will be gone soon. You know the reason why he's going to be gone? Because apparently if you are in like an organization more than 140 days that exist, then you are now subject to a congressional audit.
That's right.
And they do not
all the other rules.
They do not want that to be. So he said they're going to still keep him around. He's still going to be a government employee. He will move into the background. But at the end of the day, I think you're absolutely right in that we have to be very clear with our messaging that this is not just Elon Musk, that Elon Musk is playing the power of the purse. Because let's not forget the fact that he said he's going to put in money to primary any Republican that goes against Trump and MAGA agenda.
Right.
So he's still the boogeyman, but so the fuck is Trump, because Trump is allowing all this to happen under his nose while he just goes to fucking golf. Tomorrow, after all the stocks fucking crashed today, Trump will go to golf and not give a fuck about the American people. We told y'all motherfuckers that, but now y'all have to, some motherfuckers need to see it in order to believe it.
I mean, my whole thing is I don't understand why can't we just, like you said, walk and chew bubblegum at the same time? I'm dragging all these hoes. I can hold everybody accountable because they're all having their hands in our demise. So why not hold all of them accountable?
Yeah.
See, my whole thing is I've always
about how you missed it.
I've always put the onus on Republicans and Donald Trump, because remember, even with the continuing resolution to cut Medicaid and to cut SNAP benefits, who pushed this continuous resolution? It was Republicans. And then them 10 Democrats that we're going to hold accountable in 2026 because we coming for that ass too. But when we're talking about holding people accountable, we need to call them out by name. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Can I also say this, because we also made the mention of the oligarchy tour? I want to ask people in the comment section, how many people in the comment section actually watched the oligarchy tour? Because I watched from beginning to end. And I've seen a lot of people attack Bernie Sanders and AOC. You know, people have their hangups with Bernie Sanders. He fucked up in 2016. And also the Bernie bros were condescending fucking racist pricks. We understand that. Fuck them.
That he enabled. That he never denounced. Here's what I'm saying. Stop being racist.
Here's what I'm saying.
He upholds racism.
Here's what I'm saying. I watched the oligarchy tour, and a lot of people a lot of people have made a lot of opinions on it. But one of the things that a lot of people also said, they were like, well, he's probably going to trash the Democrats. What people don't know, because they didn't watch the oligarchy tour, was that AOC was on that stage big upping every Democrat in that state, whenever state they went to, and said, make sure that you vote for all those for those Democrats, because she was resonating with the people and saying, look, I understand what you're saying. Y'all are saying that people need to be doing the fight. You're saying that you want Democrats to do more work. Okay. But also she then in that same breath said, these are all the Democrats that you should vote for, because these are Democrats that are doing the work in your state. And she mentioned them all by name.
See, here's my thing. I have no
it's a
issue with
concerted
AOC.
effort.
She's doing what she's supposed to do.
I'm
AOC,
very-
I haven't had a real critique for AOC since 2022. When we actually had the House, because what they were doing back in the day was performative. When we have the majority, your job is to legislate. But in this moment, when we lost the House and stuff like that, since 2022, 2023, 2024, AOC hasn't missed a beat with me. She's been perfect. She's been perfect when it comes to her messaging. I have no issues with AOC.
Yeah.
However, with Bernie, now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did he tell people to run as independent?
Yeah,
I'm asking
I'm sure he probably did.
Why? That doesn't even make
well-
any sense. If we're supposed to, no, this is why
I don't know. I
issue.
don't know. I don't know if he did or not. I'm asking. It sounds like you're asking because you know the answer to it. So if he did, I don't know that he did.
So,
But if he did,
if somebody is to run as independent and supposed to be representing the Democratic Party, right? When you come from a blue state and there's a closed primary, how the fuck does that work? Is that not splitting the damn ticket? How can you be in the Senate or for that long? Your ass is this damn old, older than fucking dirt. How the hell do you not know how this system works?
I think there's. But
Nick Scoliosis back hurt.
I think they understand. But I think he understands how the system works. I think that there's a.
That's my only critique on Bernie in this moment, because that, along with the working class situation we already talked about, I'm not gonna rehash that shit. But however, that's my only critique.
He was not
AOC,
there.
I fuck
He's
with him
never
heavy.
there for black people. Bernie Sanders is never there for us. He's never there for us. And it's just
I'm not here to bash him. I'm
fucking
moving
hate him.
on. I'm moving on. All I'm saying is I
just
fuck with AOC since
frustrated that
2023.
I get frustrated when people can't see it.
His
It's
policy,
frustrating.
the thing is that I just don't understand that argument, given the fact that his policies uplift at people from, and by the way, the people in the comments. So I saw April Reed. And April Reed came to my show, and we were in the comment section. We were having a really lively discussion. So I really respect April and when the discussion that we were having. And especially when it comes down to working class, we understand there are black working class, there are Latino working class, there are white working class, there are a different working class, and all these different working classes have different struggles, and we have to acknowledge that. And I think in 2016 he did a bad job, piss poor job, because I think in his argument was that class trumped all, which clearly that there are distinctions. And so since then he has learned his new stuff he's put out, and I've made this argument before. His new stuff shows that he has learned. He delineates. As an example, because people were like, "Oh, well, what do you mean?" Well, white working class people have never had to worry about the struggles that black working class people have had to struggle about, right? Like, for instance, as it relates to discrimination in hiring practices that white working class people did not have to do. White working class people have never had to deal with lower home appraisals for their homes like that black people do, right? Black people get their homes appraised at lower values, and so they can't build that transgenerational wealth as it relates to equity. So we have to talk about those intersections. But
what has
the
Bernie
point is,
done about any of that? With a full story.
problem-
I mean, Kamala has. She was
It's
tackling the
But the
house
thing is,
appraisal.
and here's the thing, a lot of people. But here's the thing, a lot of people. That argument is not substantiated.
What has Bernie Sanders actually done? When has
Well,
he actually
he's
spoken out
introduced.
specifically
Let's talk about it, but let's have a real
specific impact
conversation.
around black and brown people in this country?
Let's talk about it, but let's have a real conversation.
I don't give a damn about Bernie Sanders. And that to me is like taking us off the show agenda altogether. But I'm just entertaining because you brought up the oligarchy tour.
But y'all brought it up. I didn't bring it up.
I'm not gonna sit here and defend one way or the other Bernie Sanders.
But here's what I'm going to say. But I stand on what's right.
That this man is anti-black and he has done nothing for black and brown communities in this country.
So here's the thing. A lot of people say, well, what has Bernie done? And they always talk about the post offices, but no one ever talks about the introduction of legislation. Y'all talk about people needing to introduce legislation. Nobody talked about the Medicare for All Act that he put in. Yeah, he made adjustments for that, for the Affordable Care Act, but also the Medicare for All Act, which, by the way, Kamala Harris also co-sponsored that. We also talk about the expansion of Medicare coverage. We're talking about raising the Minimum Wage Act of 2023, 15 minimum wage proposal. We're talking about taxing the ultra wealthy with the Ultra Millionaire Tax Act, the closing tax loopholes. Like, there are certain things that have been done. Now, have things been passed? No, but is that a good is that a determining factor of what makes a good legislator? No. Some of y'all faves introduced legislation that never passed. Why? Because it needed a specific support. We understand how that works. And here's the reality. He's an independent who caucuses with Democrats. He introduced legislation for the 4-day work week that nobody supported. Why? Because that's not on him. He introduced the legislation. So the problem is the people who don't support him. He has voted for Democrat policies, but people didn't support him in some of his policies that he introduced. The problem is not whether he introduced things or not. He has demonstrated that legislatively he can introduce things. Now, the problem is there's a lot of corporate interests. We could talk about that too. There's corporate interest that has played a marker as to the reason why some of these policies have not been able to pass. The problem is in this very moment, when we're talking about educating the people that need to be educated, people talk about the crowds, pictures of all the white people in the crowds. And I've made this argument again. Those are the people that need to fucking get it. Those are the people that need to get it in these areas. And I've made this argument before. I will make this argument again. Black people in this country have the specific history of having to fight for their right to vote. So they understand uniquely, again, fighting political warfare, fighting legal warfare, fighting physical warfare to try to get their right to vote. So black people understand their civic power. South American communities, are we talking about Latino communities? South Americans that come here and immigrate here from different countries, they never had to fight for their right to vote. So for them, they don't have the same mentality as it relates to the voting box. White people, poor white people, have never had to fight for their right to vote. So they don't think about their civic power in the same way that black people do. So black people will always vote to save this country's ass, no matter whether there are policies that are on the ballot that are going to support them. We have that in voting patterns. Here's the difference. We always make this argument that, oh, well, motherfuckers just need to get with the program, which is true. But that's not the way we get them to the polls. We have to actually court these motherfuckers to come into the polls. And what I'm saying is 74 million people voted for Kamala Harris. Let's not erase that shit. A lot of people want to talk about, oh, well, crowd sizes don't matter because no, the 75,000 people that came to DC to see Kamala Harris, of those, 74 million people felt inspired, enthusiastic, and voted for her. So what I'm saying is that what we put out did not win. Great, okay, fine, it didn't win. But what we're saying is, let's get the 74 million people still on board, who were still on board and understood the assignment, and let's add to that by increasing it from the 90 million that stood this shit out. 90 million people stood this election out. A lot of people want to say 90 million people didn't vote for Kamala Harris. No. 90 million people didn't vote for Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. They didn't like what either party was selling, for good or for worse. It's for bad or for ugly. We're here now. So how do we get those 90 million people in? We say we're going to do minimum wage increase. We say we're going to do healthcare for all. And we're saying we're going to tax the rich. You're not going to convince me that 74 million people who voted for Kamala Harris are suddenly not going to vote for any Democrat because, oh, they're giving me healthcare. Oh, they're raising my minimum wage. No.
Well, how do we get on this when we're talking about Bernie Sanders? Brian, I'm lost.
Because Bernie Sanders is saying we need to raise the minimum wage. Bernie Sanders is we need to run on giving universal health care. What we're saying is that these populism policies that I've been saying we need to go economically populist are popular. And what I'm saying is they're selling it to the white people that need to get it. And they fucking come out and they get it. As much as people want to talk about, oh, nobody knows what oligarchy is, and I critique that because nobody knows what fucking oligarchy is. I also look at the other side and say, nobody knows what the fuck Marxism is. Nobody knows what Marxist is. But Donald Trump was on that stage saying that shit all the fucking time, labeling Kamala Harris a Marxist. Can anybody fucking explain to me what a Marxist is?
But these people don't even know what liberal or what leftist even truly means.
No, they don't. They don't. And Kenny, that's my point. The point is, and I've made this point too, I studied political history. I'm a political scientist. And what I'm understanding is that historians and political theorists were the ones who created those terms. Progressives, leftists, Marxists, who was basically named after Karl Marx. The point is, they created those terms to evaluate history, movements, and campaigns in time periods. It was not made for general consumption. The regular people in the world don't know what the fuck that is. They give a fuck about how they feed their families. They give a fuck about getting health care. They give a fuck about these basic shit. And what I'm saying is, let's do that. Let's run on that.
That's what Bernie is saying. And that's why you're aligning to saying that this is.
Yes. That's what he's been saying since the 1960s. Since the 1960s.
And you're saying that's how he supports black and brown families.
I'm saying that those policies create a systemic transformational change in the system to be able to uplift black people and brown people in this country. Because the reality is, people want to talk about, let's break it all the way to fuck down. People want to talk about reparations. There is no check that can ever create and repair the damage that these people have created through slavery. There is no check. You know how you change it? You know how you provide for black people in this country? You do it by changing the systems that have continuously fucked them over.
When has Bernie Sanders ever said that?
That is the whole point.
When has Bernie Sanders?
That is the whole point.
A very impassioned defense.
Because it's the point.
Bernie Sanders, an independent from Maine. And you're saying a lot of amazing things, and they're great. But not any of that has ever been said by that man when it comes to black and brown people, which is my argument.
But that's the point of the policies. The policy changes. I need people to understand and tap in that the policy changes will impact black and brown people the fucking most. That's what that means. When we say raising, sorry, Kenny, when we say we want to raise the minimum wage, motherfucker, do you know how much history has taught us black people are underpaid? The wealth gap against black communities and white communities, tremendous. That's history. That's stats. I don't think anybody can dispute that. So what we're talking about is systemic change. Right now, we've been upholding the status quo for far too long. And he's been saying the same shit since the 1960s. It impacts everybody. He hates that. Yeah, bad mess. If he didn't say it the way that I'm saying it, it is what it is. But he's making these policy changes. And what I'm saying is we got to embrace that. And we got to start changing the mentality. Because the reason why people don't embrace it is because they're not saying it the way that I'm saying, which is what I'm saying is that he may not be the best messenger, but what I'm saying is he's saying the same shit I'm saying. I'm just saying it a different way.
Kamala Harris who also was a more progressive senator than Bernie Sanders.
I have an argument for that.
President Kamala Harris was a more progressive senator than Bernie Sanders. She was a more progressive candidate. And if Kamala Harris could not win and couldn't have a winning message, why is it?
You know why? I'll tell you why.
That we think that Bernie Sanders has a message that will resonate.
I'll tell you why. And Kenny,
you're protection for the collection child.
Well, Kenny, you're gonna appreciate this too. You know why? The consultants who made millions off of this campaign lied. I'm gonna say that again. The consultants who made millions off of this campaign fucking lied. They said, embrace traditional American imagery. They said, do the country over party tour, which by the way, I watched. And at the time, I supported it. You know why? Because Donald Trump was painting Kamala Harris to be a Marxist, this black woman, Marxist who's coming from California, and she's going to change her. He played to racism. He played to misogyny, 100%. But let's also say the fact that the policies that existed on the table, and I say this all the time, $10,000, $25,000 down payment for a home, for people who are low income, they would never be able to sustain a mortgage, even if they had a $25,000 down payment. I hate to say it. I support the policy because it's a good policy. But people who are low income, who are making ends meet, I talked to a banker who was telling me he works from home. They call him on the line. He goes onto that bank account. Motherfuckers multiple times a day are not making it paycheck to paycheck. They're making it paycheck plus overdraft every single 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is someone who's low income, even a $25,000 down payment at home is not going to get you a mortgage for a house. That's number one. Number two, affordable rent control. That was a great policy. But the policy fine print said it comes after landlords that are corporate landlords, that people who are landlords who own more than 60 properties. I know millions of people who are low income that live in homes and live in apartments that only is 2 to 5. They only own 2 to 5 apartments, so it wasn't going to impact them. It's going to impact me. My apartment complex is a corporate landlord, but it won't impact other people that I know, that we know. Here's another one. $10,000 for small businesses. Amazing policy. Amazing. But there's a lot of low-income people that don't give a fuck about creating a small business. And a lot of people, I'm saying that if you look at the demographics of the 90 million people who didn't vote, a big share of that percentage were people who make under $50,000 a fucking year. And I hate to say it, but those people did not see themselves represented in the policies that were outlined. The policies were good. The policies were good. They were just, I'm sorry to say this, and I'm saying this with love, they were insufficient.
So let me say this, Brian. Here's my counter. Because you're sitting here saying that you're right, you are 100% right in every statement given the last.
I don't mean to overtalk.
No, you were accurate. I agree with you. But here's the thing, Brian. Bernie Sanders had an entire election cycle, 2 of them actually, to make his case and to win over the hearts and minds of the American people and convince them that his policies and his plan for America was the right one to move this nation forward. And he failed to do so. The 50,000 people who make under 50,000, the majority of people who didn't vote, who didn't come out, his message did not resonate with them then. What would make anyone think that it's going to resonate now? And it would have made any difference in getting them out to the voting poll. I personally believe that it wasn't that Kamala's message was one that didn't resonate, even though it didn't resonate enough. I believe that it was countered by misinformation and absolute lies being pushed by the right and being pushed by huge amounts of money from the right and by mainstream media that played a massive role in showcasing what they wanted to showcase because they wanted Trump back in power to get more ratings and more money.
Sure.
That is what I believe. I don't think it's about the fact that Kamala's message didn't resonate because
I'm not saying
$25,000 for a down payment is nowhere near enough to help someone who can't afford a home get a home. But it's something more than anyone's ever been offered before.
That's fine.
$20,000 in student loan forgiveness was not enough for the average American owing student loan debt, but it was significantly more than they've ever been promised before. But we allowed the media to turn around and make us believe that it wasn't enough and that we should have had more when there was no other alternative on the table to give us more. There are bigger issues at play, and I don't think that Bernie or anyone else could have countered it. I don't think any message could have countered that.
Go ahead, Kenny.
I mean, we could write a book about what went wrong, but there's so many different things that happened when it came to this last election with the disinformation campaign. They had a disinformation campaign from the get-go when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was originally inaugurated. They continued with the disinformation campaign, continuously causing voter apathy. Every policy, everything they passed, it was never enough. Nothing was ever enough. You know who helped when it came to this voter apathy? Some of our favorite content creators.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you're telling somebody that this person is so awful and it would be morally corrupt to vote for this person, you've been telling this for the last 4 years, and then all of a sudden you get a check and you do the switch out of nowhere, and you expect the people that you've been talking to on your platform, your audience, who you've been demonizing this person for the last 4 years, and you tell them, I need you to vote for this person. You really think that your audience is going to be enthusiastic about voting for the same person you've drugged through the mud for the last 4 years?
Let me say this.
With misinformation, we literally, when she first announced, we had to spend the first 30 days going over the disinformation about her criminal justice record.
Yes.
Then we had to talk about her blackness. We spent more time talking about, we spent more time talking about her blackness. None of that should have been talked about. None of that should have been always. But Kamala herself spent most of her time talking about her policies and talking about the American people.
But even you still had dumbass media personalities here to ask her about people say you're not black. You still had dumbass celebrities like dumbass Janet Jackson saying she's not black. She's not black.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
But this is to the point. And then this is how we get back to where we are.
With her motherfucking Emirati baby.
And this is to my final point. And this is how we can get back on track. When it comes to leading the narrative, Republicans are excellent at the bait and switch. They will literally, with tariffs, now we're not talking about Signalgate. When it comes to Jasmine Crockett, we're not talking about Signalgate. We're not talking about the important things that these people put us at harm's risk and threaten our national security. Republicans are excellent at the bait and switch, and we fall for it every time. They're perfect when it comes to manipulating people and preying off of our emotions by preying on people's prejudice. And this is exactly what this is the playbook. They only have one playbook, and if we don't catch a clue on how to flip this shit back on them, we are going to continue to lose every time because we're falling behind.
We've lost. I mean, we may win again. I hope that we do soon, but this is the time to have those conversations and to really push out and iron out and argue it out so people can really look at what they really believe in and really make some decisions about how we go forward. That's the whole point of this.
That's the whole point. Let me say a couple points about that. So we talked about 2016 Bernie Sanders. They're like, oh well, they didn't support him. Well, he got 1,800 delegates, and Hillary Clinton got 2,200 delegates, right? So, but there was also 600 super delegates that went to Hillary Clinton. Let me just be very clear and say that the reality is, number one, in 2016, I didn't know who the fuck Bernie Sanders was. The argument that I'm making is that Hillary Clinton had the fucking name recognition. She was the former first lady. She was married to Bill Clinton. She was a senator. She was a lawyer. She's been in politics for so long. So the reality is, number one, that's the case. Number two, let's be very clear. In 2008, when Obama came in the picture, he swooped in. And a lot of people were mad in the Democrat Party because Barack Obama swooped in. They thought Hillary Clinton was next. In 2016, they thought she was next. And Barack Obama swooped in. In 2016, people were like, fuck no. We're going to continue. The establishment was like, fuck no. We're not going to do this to Hillary Clinton again because she was part of the establishment. Let's be very clear. And so they came in 2016 and the establishment made sure that Bernie Sanders didn't get that top of the ticket. What I'm saying is Bernie Sanders was never the top of the ticket. His policies were never the top of the ticket. The people who support his policies have been economic populism, like I've said, increase the minimum wage, universal health care. All these things were never on the ballot. There was never a referendum for real about Bernie Sanders' ideas. And the people who supported him when Hillary Clinton became the top of the ticket, they were like, okay, well, Hillary Clinton is not putting out his policies. So even if he's endorsing her or not, I'm not going to vote for her. And that was their mentality. That was the mentality. That was the mentality.
I got one question for Brian. One, I do want to add, Hillary Clinton had 96 different policies. It was the most.
I'm not saying she didn't have policies.
I'm just saying. But my question is, would Bernie Sanders have won the Democratic nomination had it not been for super delegates? So are you saying that he would have won without those super delegates?
I'm saying that
he got his ass mollywopped in most states. He got his ass in most states. He didn't win the states, bruh.
I'm saying that he
didn't have super delegates. He would have lost, but I get what you're saying, Brian. But here's the point. When it comes to her, and you saying that she didn't do any of Bernie's policies, that's actually not true. So after she had clinched the nomination,
they talked.
DNC, guess what Hillary Clinton did? She reached out to Bernie Sanders, and they actually sat together and they met in the middle. And she adopted his plans, not all of his plans, but they met in the middle when it came to she believing that they should get free community college. So she did meet them where they were. They were trying to compromise with moderates and bring us together. However, to the point, when you run a smear campaign telling somebody if you vote for this person, you are morally corrupt, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you flip the switch on the people that you can. When it comes to hatred, when you're actually feeding into this thing called hate and you're playing opposition towards somebody, when you feed into hate, that is an emotion that is unpredictable and it's very dangerous. Bernie Sanders was feeding into a lot of hate and misogyny towards Hillary Clinton. You can only imagine how many things I still have from 2016 talking about kill the bitch, set her on fire, all types of things that were coming from his supporters. I'm saying his supporters. If there's a adjacent version of MAGA, it would have had to been the Bernie Bros. And the reason why I was going off the way I was protecting Kamala during 2020 is because of the vile and vicious, racist, anti-black and misogynistic shit they would say about her. The whole Kamala Harris slap her away from the top came from the left. It came from the Bernie Bros. MAGA didn't come up with it. It was them.
I'll never forgive them.
Black people.
But the thing is, and again,
that's where we had the situation. But I get what you're saying, but she did meet them in the middle. The problem is when you start feeding into hatred, which is why I don't want to. That's why I'm not attacking Bernie in this video. Y'all already see that I'm as civil as I possibly can be.
He's very middle. He's always in the middle in real life. He's in the middle. Or he's not going to go off on Bernie like he should. He wants to.
I'm being helpful in this moment. I'm using my platform responsibly. Does that make sense?
Tell
where
the truth
I am
and
We
trying
change
to
the
help
devil.
having a
I
real
do not
no,
need
we're
to have
having a real
somebody
conversation.
who might actually do good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At one point, we have to meet
And-
somewhere in the middle. We have to compromise with each other because we have so many things in common than what separates us, as what Kamala Harris would normally say.
That's my
Right?
point.
We have so
I
many
agree.
things in common that separate us. And while I want
I
the
agree.
left and while I want moderates and whatever the fuck I am, whatever the hell I am, I want us to understand that we're all fighting for the same thing. We just have different approaches about going about it. But we
I do
all
want
want
to
the
take a
same
moment.
end
I do
goal.
want to take a moment, and we will be getting back on track. Like we will. I want to take a moment to talk about this because Citizen Morgan, I need you to watch my content on TikTok. I'm a constant collaborator with the people that you named. And I think someone said earlier, Tabitha Speaks doesn't collaborate. Tabitha has collaborated with me. Tabitha Speaks. I'm actually probably one of the few creators that Tabitha actually will like talk to in real life. And I'm very thankful. I'm very privileged to be someone that, can reach out to Tabitha. Literally, there was something that happened during the election, and literally someone from a campaign asked me to get in touch with Tabitha. How they knew that I could do that, I don't know, but I did. And I was able to get her in touch with her. She had posted something that was based on misinformation by accident. And they were like, oh no, Tabitha made a mistake. And I was able to catch her. So Tabitha and I are friends. And I work with, not Joy and Don, but with Consciously. So if it's a TikTok creator in the political space, we know them, probably met them in person, all three of us, and we work with them on a regular basis. But that's going to be on TikTok. Usually that's on TikTok. So check out our TikTok, follow all of our TikToks. Excuse me, while you still can to see that. It could be gone by Saturday, but if it's up, you can still see it.
Brian, you have to finish your point.
I forgot what the point was, but I think your point to your point. I think people in the comment section. I think we can denounce any racism and any bullshit. Like I don't think anybody on. And let's be clear. I'm fuck the camera. I'm talking to both of y'all real. I don't think anybody on this panel, us three, would ever say that we wouldn't call out racism and misogyny. I mean, nobody would say that. I think we all have we all have a good history of being able to call that out and being able to do that. So I think that that's the thing. But I think the reality for me is, and what I'm seeing is, I think that these policies can tap us into that 90 million people. And I think the other thing is, Kenny, to your point, yes, she said they did sit down. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders did sit down. They talked about what the policies were. She was able to adapt some of them and kind of modify them to be, for what the campaign, thought. Now, here's the thing. The people, what I'm saying is that the people didn't like that because they felt that it was a watered down version. Now, for better or for worse, I'm saying we're here now. Fuck it now, right? The
And
point
giving
is,
credit to Alan K. Kemple, who is a staunch Bernie supporter, and I'm glad that there are some on the chat who said that. That was a good point, and he did. You're right. Like that's a benefit, and to Brian's credit, and to Alan's credit, Bernie definitely helped move the entire party further left towards the progressive values that they now embrace.
yeah. And by the way, let's be very clear that Democrats, the history of the Democrat Party has been that they have actually fought for these things. I mean, labor unions. We're talking about the progressive movement from the early eras. Like they actually fought for these things. Like these are not things that are counter to the Democrat Party. I think the problem is, and we can talk about it, millions and billions of dollars that came in through corporations and PACs. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the corporate interest is different, and I think that's a different conversation. I think that influences politics in a negative way, and I think that that's also part of the conversation, like ending Citizens United. I think right now there's actually legislation that's being put forward to kind of to make sure that we can get dark money out of politics. I think that we're not there yet to fully do that, but I agree with us needing to do that.
Okay, Brian, but because listen. I want to address that because, again, I think, and Alan also came and said, once Biden got elected to full 180, listen, there's a reason why that happens in politics. The message is not one oftentimes that the American people are ready to receive. The American people need way more assistance and way more help than what our government is giving them. But not enough Americans understand that they need that help. They don't. We have Americans right now who have had children die of measles who say that they still don't believe in vaccines. We have Americans right now who have had their wives and their husbands snatched away on the streets, but they still believe in mass deportations. The people aren't there. So sometimes candidates like Joe Biden have to run and on policies that are middle of the road when they know that further to the left will be of benefit to the American people. And once they run, they allow time to pass and they allow education to happen. They build up support among the American people, and then they implement those progressive policies. That's what liberals have always done. And that's why Democrats have been successful in doing way more than anyone ever thought they would. It's not that, in my opinion, Joe Biden ever didn't believe the things that he was going to do with the infrastructure bill and with the CHIPS Act. I don't believe that he ever thought those things weren't going to work. But those aren't things that he could have talked about when he was running against Trump in 2020 and won because the American people weren't ready for it. And that is my argument against some of the things being stated on the oligarchy tour. There is a level of education that has to happen among the American people to get them on board before you can do.
But I think, and so here's my point to that, and I agree with
That's
the
part
education
of
piece.
that's part of the tour he's educating to.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point. And the part is, and I agree with you, Zach, that there needs to be education. Kenny, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what's happening. Here's my other point. When it happens, we can't say that the education needs to happen, but then when they're educating, we then attack them. And I'm not talking about MAGA Republicans. I'm talking about people on our side. That's not fair. That's what I'm saying. I'm standing up for what's right, because that's not fair. And I think that, and you don't have to. But what I'm saying is, you don't. I mean, and this is what I want people to understand. The people in the comment section. This is why we can agree and we can disagree and we can talk about these things healthily, because it may be that we have these conversations and we don't agree at the very end, or we don't support anybody. But I'm not even saying. And by the way, let me be very clear. I'm not saying Bernie Sanders needs to run in 2028. I don't think people are clear. If y'all hearing me say that, I'm not saying that he needs to run in 28. And by the way, I'm not even saying AOC needs to run in 2028. I'm afraid, really, that this country is not ready to get to that point. Clearly, we saw what happened with Kamala Harris. I'm still fearful, and I'm not speaking about anybody in this panel.
Throw her head in the ring. I say, hell, put a rock up there.
And look.
No, we have to move on. People, you're right. We argue about this every fucking day. We argue about this every
but not on camera. But not on
day.
camera. We need to talk about it more on camera.
We argue about this every day. So it's been coming for a long time. So you got to understand, we talk about this every day. And so it was nothing tonight that has been said has not already been said. Nothing, no heart or mind has been changed, nor has anything new been said between us. It's just that you've gotten a chance to hear it for the first time. And I think that it's good that you heard it for the first time. And it's actually ended up exactly as it always ends up. Zach, I want to, because I want to get Zach, make yourself big. Make yourself big for a second. Make yourself big. And then I want you to put Joshua's comment on the panel. I want to put Joshua's comment on the page. What Josh was saying.
You guys are still ignorantly slandering Chuck Schumer.
And I want you never do
what you do.
Because remember when I told you the people in the
Chuck Schumer.
Remember when I told you the people in the comment section saying, "Hey, don't attack Chuck Schumer." A lot of people thought I was lying.
Chuck gotta go. To this day, it's going to be smoke forever. I mean, sir.
Sorry. All right. Can we say real quick? Agree, Brian. A woman won't win. And you know what? And again, I agree with Kenny if she wants to throw her race, but I will support. I'm going to say I support AOC 100%. That 10 toes down. But what I'm saying is, I have we'll have that conversation when we get there. But can we talk about Wisconsin real quick? Because we
can talk about Wisconsin, but also again, I do want to
talk about mixed bag with Wisconsin.
We haven't finished the tariffs. I think this is really huge news.
Yeah, it is.
I think the fact that the stock market crashed because of tariffs and people are acting shocked. I mean, it seems like the business world wasn't ready, wasn't prepared. But they should have been, because guess what? We were told. And who told us? She fucking told us.
Yeah.
On all imports that he has described would be a 20% sales tax, in essence, on basic necessities for the average American worker, average American family, totaling almost $4,000 a year. That is no small matter. Here in Pittsburgh, he wants to impose what is, in effect, a national sales tax on everyday products and basic necessities that we import from other countries. That will devastate Americans. It will mean higher prices on just about every one of your daily needs. Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about he's not, he refused to come. But understand that part of his plan is to put in place a national sales tax of at least 20% on everyday goods and necessities. And that, by economist estimates, independent economists, would cost you as the American consumer and taxpayer an additional $4,000 a year. I want you to meet. Dude wants to talk about his plans, which really are about cutting taxes for the richest people. Please do check out the Wall Street Journal or Goldman Sachs or the 16 Nobel laureates or Moody's, who have all analyzed the plans and said, mine will strengthen the economy, his will make it weaker.
That's right. She
We've
told
warned
you
several times.
On all imports that he has described.
Wait, hold on. I'm
Would be
going
a
away from that.
20%.
Yeah. I mean, look, she told you, we motherfucking told you, and you know, the information was out there. Information was out there.
I mean,
I think it stands alone. I mean, I'll be honest with you.
okay, here's a question though.
But
That
here's the other
I,
thing. Even with them blocking it, you know that he can veto. He can veto it.
Yeah, I mean, but then they would need to really put their money where their mouth is and say whether or not they're going to support 67. You know, they need the 2/3 of both houses to be able to overturn a veto.
I know.
So they're gonna have. No, I know, but I agree with what your point is. I think your point is the same. I'm saying that to further that if he then vetoes it, motherfucking Republicans who y'all saying, oh, you care about the people, motherfucking put your money where your mouth is. Are you gonna vote 2/3? And vote with the Democrats and overturn the veto? Because that would be, by the way, that would be a great message. Do they have the backbone to do it? I don't know.
Let's see.
you know, here's a question. Like, I'm gonna be fair. You know, I was asked this question, and it made me pause and think. You know, I was like, okay, what if the tariffs? Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Give me a minute. What if the tariffs work? What if the tariffs work?
I don't think they will. I think there will be.
I know. I'm just telling you that I was like,
Who asked that dumbass question?
But can I say this? Let's be very. Can I say very clear about this? Tariffs, all around. There are some tariffs that work in the very specific environments and very specific times. This is not that. This is indiscriminate tariffs around for every country in the world, and specifically when he targets Canada, he's trying to cripple Canada so that they can come. We're in war with Canada. I need people to understand that.
Fucking tariffs on penguins in countries that have no humans.
That's right. I mean, this is that sounds ridiculous, but it's absolutely correct. Here's the reality. The reality is this is gonna increase prices for not just everyday necessities, for things that are even not luxuries. Everything will become more expensive. People are not going to have the money to be able to do it. Now, the question is, when the people feel this wrath, the question I want to ask you both is, what's going to happen when the people get mad and start going to the streets? Because he wants martial law.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, again, 90, I can only speak for the 92 and the 80. We ain't going to be out there.
And that's
so y'all going to have to figure it out.
Topic of the night.
Y'all going to figure we will be at the polls. Okay, we will take our souls to the polls, but as far as protesting, y'all gonna have to bleed the blood for this one, okay? Because we're not going out there to be shot. We're not gonna be tear gassed. We're not gonna be sprayed. We're not doing any of those things. So it's time for, if y'all really want to, cause a revolution, you need to go ahead and revolt, reloot, whatever the fuck you want to do.
Our friends at Indivisible, our friends at Indivisible came together. They've created a whole entire day of action on April the 5th. Where they say that we must stop Trump and Musk's illegal billionaire power grab. It's doing hands off Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, our jobs, our wallets, our bodies, fair elections, personal data, public lands, veteran services, cancer research, hands off NATO, consumer protections, clean air, clean energy, schools, libraries, free speech, LGBTQ rights, immigrants, courts, and more. Nationwide protests are going to happen on April the 5th, on Saturday, April the 5th. And Black people all over social media are like,
Right now, we have some big news right now. We have some terrible breaking news coming. We have some big news tonight. We have another terrible breaking news up. We have some scary news. We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially revoked his right now. We have some big news right now. We have some terrible breaking news coming. We have some really big news tonight. We have another terrible breaking news up. We have some scary news. We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially revoked.
So
Is that they put Aaron Parnas? Is that
yeah, that was
Yeah.
Aaron Parnas's breaking news voice. I'm not protesting on April the 5th. I'm not telling anyone to protest. I'm not telling you not to. If you feel called to go, you go. There are a lot of great speakers who will be at rallies. A lot of great, like in Atlanta, it's going to be at Piedmont Park. It's going to have all the major politicians, Democratic leaders from all around the state. It's going to probably be an amazing day. Celebrities will be there. You feel called to go, go. I am just saying, I am not going to go.
I encourage everybody, if you choose to go, be very wary about your surroundings and who you choose to protest with. Okay? Just be very careful.
Can I say this? Because we saw this with the Black Lives Matter protests. 99% of Black Lives Matter protests were peaceful protests. The problem was Republicans paid people to go and agitate, create herd mentality, to create looting, to create bullshit, to create bad press. And that is what was strewn on the fucking media 24/7. Nobody showed the videos that were posted on YouTube of the Black Lives Matter protests where people were sitting down peacefully protesting. Nobody showed all these other parts. So let's be very clear. And I want to be very, I also want to say this, because I also saw other people promoting it. I want to be clear with I want to be clear with the audience.
I'm laughing at Kenny because I think Kenny knows he knows what I'm finna do. Continue, Brian, before I do it.
What I want to be very clear with the audience is there's been folks who, organizations are reaching out to folks, for content creators, to be able to promote this day. I declined on purpose because for me personally, I'm not going to tell anybody in our audience to be able to go. If you want to do, you compelled to do whatever you want. They have to do the proper marketing. So if you see it on social media and you feel compelled to walk on by, do a little drive by and go, maybe take a little plate and go, that is one thing. But it's a different thing. It's a different thing because Kenny's absolutely fucking on the money. The people that want to agitate on April 5th, I'm hoping motherfuckers don't start agitating. Because if they start agitating, I want to be very clear, and this happens because it's happening across the country, they're going to want to instill martial law. Yeah. I'm not doing this to scare y'all. I'm not saying this to scare y'all. I'm saying it because we need to be very
Donald Trump can do whatever he wants.
They suspend the Constitution. He had the executive branch, which is the president of the United States, gets unlimited power, and they're able to arrest and jail people. This is I need people to understand, and that's the piece of content that needs to be made. But unfortunately, that's the piece of content that's going to be suppressed. But I need people to be very aware of their surroundings and to not, you know what I'm saying, get caught up. Somebody's doing some shit. It's time to go. We're not getting caught up.
Well, you ain't got to worry about it. When one black person runs, everybody runs. Everybody scatters. Okay,
that's right. That's true.
Right. I want to, I'm making the video tonight, and it was where I saw myself, I caught the footage on Democracy Now. I watch Democracy Now every day, the War and Peace Report. And so I was watching Democracy Now a couple weeks ago. Well, it actually was the day that Chuck Schumer announced that he was going to vote to keep the government open for the, stopgap measure to continue. And there was a protest of students in front of his office. There were white women there, white men there, 2 black men. Only 2 people got arrested. They were the 2 black men. Mm-hmm. The 2 black men. Mm-hmm. And so when Alan Kemple says this gentleman worries me, the fact that you wouldn't recognize why I wouldn't take my black gay ass out there and protest worries me about who the fuck you are behind some AI generated goddamn mask and why the fuck I set my dumb ass up here and let you stay on this motherfucking YouTube all goddamn the whole fucking hour and a half. I am a motherfucking Scorpio with a Sagittarius moon. I will block the fuck shit out of you anytime you disrespect me. You've been disrespectful as fuck on this live that I host. And I have let you be here because you were giving a minority perspective to back up some comments that were also not in the majority. And I want to make sure that all of the hosts on this platform have equal say and feel equally supported. So you are allowed to stay. You will not be allowed to stay again, nor will you be allowed to bring your ass on here again with a fake ass profile, whoever the fuck you are. Be well and be blessed. And goodbye.
I went to go look at an email real quick and I came back and I was like, who the fuck is getting flamed? Can I say this? I also want to say this about the protest, just to bring it back. Look, I don't want to undercut the groups because I want to read this. You know, I'm not reading any specific information, but I do want to read some of the one thing. When I declined this opportunity, I got a message back from the organizers of the protests on the 5th, and they said, they just want FYI, their safety pieces. This is a nonviolent movement, all this stuff. But one of the things they said was a number of anchoring orgs are Black or POC led. So they have the Rainbow Push Coalition, WFP, Color for Change, SEIU, Atlanta NAACP that's also working this. So I don't want to undercut the work that some of these organizations that are Black led organizations that are also working in tandem to make sure that these protests are secure and safe. I'm not undercutting that. So I want to uplift that for a second. But I don't want to say that everybody should be paralyzed in fear and not do anything to activate. There's different ways that you can activate. But there's multiple ways. But I also want to say shout out to those organizations because those organizations we know are credible organizations and Black-led organizations.
Yeah, Indivisible is amazing. Yeah.
And Indivisible is amazing. And at the same time, I'm also telling you to be aware of your surroundings. That's all we're saying. We're saying both, do both. Perm, do both.
I'm saying, when I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing, and that's where I'll be. With things I'll be knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
It's gonna be a regular Saturday. And in Atlanta, I just hate to tell you. I have been dealing with this pollen and the allergies. Like, it's not happening. It's not happening. I'm not gonna be able to get out there.
Yeah, I stay in that. Y'all know I stay in the motherfucking house, and I'm still taking Allegra in the house because that fucking pollen is crazy. Now, Kenny, you laughing, but my fucking allergies get motherfucking crazy when it comes down to these fucking seasons. So, but I agree. Fuck.
You're very lucky. You're very lucky. I have
real lucky.
What are allergies?
Mm-hmm. Very, very lucky. And so, so with that, I think that we've gone over about 21 minutes.
We did.
But I do think that it was a great show. I think that we went off a little bit. We apologize, but I think it was robust and good conversation. Yeah. And we, for the most part, and again, bottom line question is, it was stand and deliver from Cory and Jasmine, all of our Democratic leaders. What more could they have done? They did the right thing, and we're proud to support them. And we look forward to, I think, seeing you next week and hopefully seeing them continue to do more of what they're doing. Any final words? We definitely want you to watch every Tuesday. Brian had an amazing live last night, and he will have one again next Tuesday. Amazing show, really good. You want to catch him at 8 p.m. every Tuesday live. You can then go also to his channel, Mentally Divine, and watch it on the replay. And Kenny, eventually we're gonna get him. He got the mic.
Kenny, we're about to get you a YouTube show.
Can we get you on every Thursday night live? Can we get you live every
Thursday or what?
Every Thursday.
Well, because
live.
Well, because he's right. Because he's gonna do Monday Kings at the King's table, right?
Kings at the table.
Kings at the table. Tuesday is my show. Wednesday we do this show, and then Thursday we have Kenny's show. We're working on it, folks. We're working on it.
Look, we'll get to that. Okay, after my cruise, okay, let me get my rest, and then when I come back fully rejuvenated, okay.
When is the cruise?
Oh yeah,
it is May 18th through the 25th. I ain't telling y'all where the hell I'm selling out from, at least on live, because I don't need nobody just jumping in and saying, "Oh my God,
we gotta wait until the middle." So we gotta wait as far as the middle of June to get you on a live once a week.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know what? We'll give you the June 15th. So that gives you plenty of time.
Give me to the summer.
Right. And so again, here's a rundown. Starting in the middle of this month, I'm going to be live every Monday at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. I'm trying to see when the guys will be. It's going to be some political content, but more pop culture content. So it's people, politics, and pop culture. Kings at the table. Then you're going to have Brian every Tuesday, 8 p.m. on his channel with the Mentally Divine podcast. And again, it's been around for a long time. I remember when Brian was doing mental health. And that was why we get the name Mentally Divine. And so then every Wednesday you have the three of us, the big three. And then soon we'll have, maybe on Thursday, Kenny coming to us with whatever iteration of Too Raw, Too Real entertainment we get. So
Yeah. Can I also say this, y'all? I just forward thinking for a second.
And it's Eastern time.
Yeah, Eastern time. My so my show, I'm doing it. I scheduled it from like February 25th to January 20th, 2029. So it's like a 4-year period because we will be inaugurating a new president of the United States, hopefully. But here's the thing: if we do this show, do you have y'all thought about the like how crazy it is for us to build a community in 4 years? Like 4 years from now, we're starting here today, and we can look back at this video and be like, "Yo, we talking about this." In 4 years from now, we're gonna build a community of people on this YouTube channel and the YouTube that we talk about the actual information. We bring the facts. We are battling the misinformation. We are building a platform on YouTube where historically we have not been. Not us, but I'm talking about our voices in terms of the progressive voice, the liberal voices, the left. Like, have y'all thought about that? Because I feel like that, like, I just dawned on me that, yo, like, we do this show every week for 4 years. It's gonna be fucking crazy.
I want to be the political Wendy Williams, okay? And then y'all could be my live studio audience. Isn't that right, Suzanne?
Yes. That's what I'm talking about. That would be the Thursday show. But all right, I'm just saying.
And I think so. I think it's coming. But again, Solomon, I have interviewed. I think Kenny, did you post your interview of Jasmine? Kenny interviewed Jasmine. Yeah, it's on his Instagram. Is it also on your YouTube?
Yeah, it's everywhere.
So you can see Kenny's interview with Jasmine Crockett on his Instagram and on his YouTube. You can see my interview with Jasmine Crockett also on my YouTube. This YouTube, The Zactivist, and 3+1 Media. So you can go and check that out to see those interviews. We're continuously inviting guests to join us when they are able and available. Sometimes they will be live, sometimes they'll be pre-recorded, but we'll be dropping them in to the show. So with that being said, everyone, thank you guys so much and have an amazing night and great week.
Good night, you guys.